I invite the Board of Ordained Ministry Chair.
Allie's first.
Oh, Allie's first. Excuse me. Yes, yeah, I'm not looking at my schedule. I invite Allie Young for the Director of Clergy Excellence to report.
Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Allie Young. I'm the Director of Clergy Excellence, and for approximately 18 more days, the Registrar of the Board of Ordained Ministry. We will get to the 18 days in a minute at the end of my report, and because I am in charge of the ordination service, I guarantee you that I will not overextend my time, and I will be succinct. First, I just want to start by saying how proud I am to be a member of the Louisiana Conference. I've had the privilege of traveling all over the country the last year. I kind of lost track of how many weekends and weeks I have been out of town over the last year representing Louisiana and the Louisiana Conference at the General Commission on Finance and Administration, at Westpath, multiple times. I'm starting to really like Westpath. I think I want to retire someday. And also at the Board of Ordained Ministry, at various cohorts with other people who have this job. We are a weird group of people and beyond. And it's always so much fun to brag about my conference and to hear people say, y'all are really doing that? Your bishop lets you do that? Y'all are having conversations about that? You and your strategists aren't competing? And I'm like, no, we collaborate. And then they want to ask questions about what our clergy are doing. And I say, well, we have clergy doing all sorts of cool things. We have innovators. We have people who are specialists at fixing churches that have been through turmoil. We have people who are so skilled at pastoral care that we can send them into situations where a church just needs to be loved. And we celebrate those differences, and we're trying to incorporate them into how we make appointments. I'm so proud of the opportunities that we've had as we've prioritized clergy well-being over the last couple of years. We had an outstanding Calling of the Orders retreat in the fall. We've had prayer and study groups offered by laity and clergy, just as a general invitation on Zoom and in person. We had a grief retreat that was powerful and moving. We had a day away after the election when pastors needed the opportunity to reset and figure out how to pastor a church that was divided. And we had a really great spring retreat just a few weeks ago. And I've heard stories about really fantastic sounding vacations as pastors have prioritized taking time away. Pastors have done spiritual formation retreats and continuing education events, and they've set better boundaries. And that makes me proud. We've also had 6 pastors in the last year seek and approve with their churches renewal leave. I'm sorry, did you not hear what I said? We had 6 pastors take renewal leave this year. That's incredible because it's a 66% increase from the year before. I like that number, and I hope that we do a better increase next year. I hope that we continue to see churches and pastors who faithfully and bravely say yes when their pastor comes to them and says, I need a break and I need your support. Because laity, as Bishop said, you're 99.7% of the church, which means that you can actually do it without your pastor. We maybe don't do a good job of admitting that because job security is what it is, but you can do it without us. And later this fall, we hope to debut a renewal leave grant and opportunity for local pastors. In 2024, the Book of Discipline changed, and it made it clear that licensed local pastors do not qualify for renewal leave in the discipline. And the cabinet sat around the table, and Reverend Carly Pidgeon and I were in a Doctor of Ministry class, and we thought, that's stupid. So for our project for the class, we wrote up a proposal that got approval from the cabinet, and some very generous donors have agreed to give us some seed money to help start this program, to provide grants to local churches, to help local pastors take renewal leave as well. We're still working on the details, but regardless of what the discipline says, everybody needs to be renewed. As we look to the 2025 and 2026 appointment year, we're going to continue to build on this momentum. We started with revising our appointment-making process and a new rubric-based evaluation for our clergy. And while this may not sound like well-being, it is. Open communication and clearer transparency helps reduce anxiety, creates better opportunities for collaboration, and makes expectations clearer so that we're all on the same page. I hope you were able to view the videos that we published earlier this spring with the accompanying articles and materials, and I hope that you're as excited as I am for a bishop and a cabinet that are prioritizing transparency. With that partnership in the Office of Clergy Excellence, we've worked on making transitions and new appointments smoother, more transparent, more open, and more honest. It begins with sitting at the table and going through our gifted model that has been refined over the last several years, where we really truly look at those clergy profiles that pastors turn in and what you say you're good at, what you enjoy about ministry, and what's a drag on you. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect appointment. We all know that. There's no such thing as a perfect church. But we also look at those church profiles that you guys turn in. I can honestly say that I read all of them. And I know when you copy and paste from last year. I know when you copy and paste from last year. Okay? So laity, we need you to be honest. We need you to be honest about where your church is. If there's a new challenge that's arisen, it's not a grade. It's an invitation to be a partner with us. We can only appoint based on what we know, and we can only do the good work of helping and encouraging and making gifted appointments when we know what we're appointing to. Bishop Williamson is good at her job. She is good at her job. But if you don't tell her, she can't do her job well. So we've begun with making more direct appointment calls. We know they're longer than ever, those of you who received one this year. We've started by summarizing those calls in emails because we know the first thing you hear after this is an appointment call is that your brain goes blank, full reptile mode. And so we send you that in a summary email, and we begin by telling you all the ways that your giftedness matches that church. And we are excited for the ways that that will continue to improve and grow as we get used to it. We also started with a new appointment plan workbook with 100-day plans, with set meeting dates with DSs, and with the Transition Academy in partnership with the Office of Congregational Vitality, because we know that healthy churches require healthy pastors, and healthy pastors need healthy churches. And we can only do it if we work together. We're seeking again to provide more clarity as we step into new appointments. And so laity, again, we need you to be honest. Be honest about what you need in a pastor. Be honest about what your church is passionate about. And use some of Dr. Poe's language. Is your church a swamp that really wants to be a canal? Are you a reservoir and maybe you need a pastor to help lead? We're also training more onboarding specialists to expedite that process so that pastors get that information closer to the start of their new appointment and not in September or October when they've already done the nominations committee and found out that maybe they appointed that person that should be on finance to be a greeter. And so again, we need honesty, especially in that onboarding process. How can we work in better partnership with our clergy and support them and not stymie them? And how can our pastors better listen to our laity? We hope that through onboarding, through our Transition Academy, through the new appointment plan document, that we can be better equipping our pastors because different churches require different things. And so with all of those in partnership, we hope to prepare pastors with the right skills for the right churches, to give them the resources that they need, so that when they come to us and they say, I need coaching in this area, we know just the right person. Finally, we created rubric-based evaluation systems because we know that saying, well, my pastor's not a horrible preacher, so I guess I'm going to give him a 4. Or, my pastor last week, I don't really know what they were talking about, and I was checking Facebook while they were preaching, and so I'm going to give them a 2 because they didn't really pay attention. And so we've created this rubric-based system to help give you an idea of what we actually mean, to define these core competencies. These 9 competencies are preaching, worship, teaching, relationships, administration, leadership, conflict resolution, pastoral care, and missional engagement. And in conversations with the Board of Ordained Ministry, we're going to begin incorporating these with how we give evaluation and feedback to our residents in ministry so that they can begin to build these foundational stepping stones earlier in their careers. And also through rubric-based evaluations in that residence and ministry program. You're going to hear more about RIM in a minute, so I'm not going to steal the board's thunder, but I'm really excited to see that the way residence and ministry is going to grow and adapt for the way that the church is now. Like Bishop said, we can't keep using old tools that don't work anymore. We've got to find some new ones. These rubrics will continue to grow and adapt as we learn. I'm also excited to have some new tools to offer you this year. In September 23rd through 25th, Reverend Jasmine Smothers will be with us at our fall clergy retreat. And every pastor that comes is going to leave with a customized plan for how to lead vision in your local church. Now, just to clarify, mission and vision, and the way that Reverend Smothers understands it, mission is what you're about generally. And vision, in the way that she defines it, is the next faithful step. So you'll leave with the next faithful step, how to have that conversation in your local congregation and lead your people through that conversation and collaboratively come up with the next faithful step for your church. In October, we will also send more clergy to be onboarded as onboarders, and we'll also send more clergy to be trained as coach approach, skills trained, IFC level 1 coaches to equip them to help meet the needs of local pastors in the congregations here. And finally, in January, we're super excited that Reverend Dr. Elise Fulbright, you may know her name because she's the Secretary of the General Conference, will be leading a year-long cohort for our Black clergy called the Transformative Pastor Leadership Program. I'm super excited about that. We had an informational meeting on Tuesday, and Dr. Fulbright was able to join us, and she is delightful, and so I'm super excited about that. This year, we've been able to send 2 clergy to the Leadership Institute offered through the Church of the Resurrection in Leawood, Kansas, and we hope to continue to have those opportunities. We're continuing to explore other long-term opportunities for our clergy, both young and seasoned, and we'll continue to utilize our reserved funds for the bulk of our expenses. If you noticed, the apportioned budgeted funds in my budget is very small because I have so many reserves to use. And we made that commitment at annual conference several years ago to utilize those reserved funds. So that's where the money comes for these programs, thanks to the good and faithful stewardship of the folks that came before, who generously provided for ways to make sure our clergy are cared for. Finally, I'm going to take one little brief moment of personal privilege, and of course she is not in the room, but I'd like to thank the unsung hero of the Office of Clergy Excellence, Kyle Wooldridge. Oh, there's Kyle. Hey, Kyle. Kyle, I want to thank you for your timeless and often thankless work. If you have gone to a clergy retreat in the last year, if you have dietary restrictions or a food allergy, if you have had a background check, credit check, psychological evaluation, or started candidacy summit in the last 4 years, if you have gone to course of study and been reimbursed, if you have gotten a service loan stipend or loan or request, Kyle Wooldridge has been the one that has made sure that that has been taken care of. She does more work than you could possibly know. So if you see Kyle, please give her a thank you. So Kyle, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for dealing with me. And God bless you. I'm sorry, I am cantankerous. And really, this really is my last one, I promise. My last, I'm done. It has been an honor to serve as the registrar of the Board of Ordained Ministry for the last 3 years. It has been a deep privilege to get to go to the candidacy summits and welcome new people into the process. I get all weepy when they get licensed, and I get a little weepy when they get commissioned, and hopefully in a few years, my first round will get ordained, and I'll cry ugly in the back. It is such a privilege to be able to do that work and guide people through that process and be an encyclopedia of the discipline. And I'm grateful to John Ed for setting up such a flawless system to inherit. And so I'd like to say welcome to Sonia Lars, who will be the new registrar. So this is also my FYI to all of our folks in course of study. Make sure you update your registrar forms. Her email address is registrar@la-umc.org. And Sonia will now make sure that all of those get approved starting July 1st. Thank you, Sonia. She was appointed through consultation with the Board of Ordained Ministry and their official vote and approval. And I am so excited. She's going to do a phenomenal job and be a great part of our team. So thank you again, Bishop. This concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Reverend Young. I take it there's no questions for Reverend Young.